Some of us have more or less ability to handle the risk of failing or the risk of not being perfect. I see that a lot. I
Yeah.
love it when a public speaker, somebody who's now the chairman of something has to give the keynote and then they just openly say, "Hey, I this is the first opening I've ever done." And most of us are pretty generous of spirit if somebody just comes out and talks to us about the fact that this could be a mess, but I'm doing it the best I can. Talk
Yeah.
to us about this being a little less risk averse and trying things.
Yeah. So for me, Linda, I like to think about risk as the process to getting the reward. Right. And so, we hear all these things, no risk, no reward, never, courage and all these things. But at the end of the day, if I don't try something new, I don't have any new data. I'm operating on old data, right? Every decision gives me data. Every data point gives me more courage to either make a better or a bigger decision. And then if we want to call that risk, that's fine. But at the same time, we're just earning another level of respect and confidence with ourselves, right? If we take a risk and we fail, great, right? We want to do it as fast as possible so we can get more data. And you're talking to someone, right, who has had big quote unquote failures, right? Like, I'm the girl who canceled the wedding 3 months before the I do. I'm the girl who, was a welfare mother in New York City in an 800 square foot apartment. Like, I'm the girl who, like, has always said, like, if I fail, I would love to fail at being totally me rather than succeed and find myself stuck in someone else's reality of success that I have no idea how to navigate or get out of. Right. And so that risk for me is about freedom, authentic, true freedom, not the freedom that comes from I got money in the bank account, not the freedom that comes from everybody knows my name. Because even we know that when that success quadrant starts to get fuller and fuller, it actually becomes more of a bondage than a freedom. Right. And so we've seen this structure kind of the walls close in on people over and over because they've done all the right things, right? Without taking any risk outside the box, right? We've seen that happen over and over. And so when I think about risk and I encourage my clients to take risk, I'm asking them, what is it worth to you? Right now, when you make this decision, is the you 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now going to be excited about the decision you're making now? Because if they're not, maybe it's not the right decision.
Well, that comes back to something else that I observe in society, which I know you have some lovely insights on, is that it's so easy to be at one end or the other of a spectrum because the middle is so messy.
Yeah.
And I think that in your message, I hear a little bit of like, embrace a mess, get in there in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where all the excitement may be.
Exactly. The middle is messy, but the middle is also where the miracles happen, right? So if you want to jump from A to Z, you're going to miss all the good stuff in the middle, right? And we know this from so many kind of ways that time takes over our lives, right? And if we're not using our calendar as what we call an organizing principle for your energy, you might find yourself in a lot of different situations with no real experiences, right? And so when we think about this, I think a lot about the middle as the place where we want to really take stock of what we said we wanted and what we're actually on our way to, right? Because sometimes we get to the middle and we're like, I don't even know if that's what I want anymore. Right? I don't even know if this is worth it, right? And that messy part in the middle allows us to then either transform what we're going towards or make a better choice, right? And that's where I think some of us don't sit long enough in the middle to actually know what it is we would truly love the next stage to be. And either we just proceed, with blinders on, like, well, this is what we said we were going to do. We got to get it done. Or we retreat into old patterns of self sabotage, small thinking, right? We shrink ourselves again just to be comfortable. But the middle gives us that place where we can ask a better question, where we can sit, and where we can honestly give ourselves the permission to pause. And I think that's another thing that most people are not willing to do is give themselves permission to pause and reconfigure and then move forward rather than just continuing with the plan as it has been laid.
So just so people have some clarity, when we're talking about the messy middle,
Yeah.
do you have a good story about this? Like, I think lots of us think our decisions about, whether to buy our kid a car, or
Yeah,
whether to go to that family reunion or take the vacation that we really want to go to, or
yeah,
there's one or the other. It's very, do we bring it up at the dinner table, this elephant in the room, or not? Like,
yeah.
help us evolve what this messy middle could be, because it seems pretty messy.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go back. We'll unpack the story for your listeners in terms of Christal canceling a wedding to the love of her life. Okay. So let's go with this. Okay. So that's an amazing man. We were young in our 20s. He was a drummer. I was a dancer. We were like the epitome of love for everyone around us. Like we were the community. Everybody, oh my God, we want to be like you guys. We're coming over to your house for dinner. All the things. Okay. Now fast forward a few years, okay, now we're engaged. There's been some, things in the relationship, like in every relationship that are kind of breaking down, but we're like, we love you, we'll fix it. And then something on the inside of me, those deep paradigms that have been there forever, the little Southern girl in me woke up and said, I don't know if we can do this because you're going to be mad if the financial situation of this marriage doesn't change and you're in charge of the finances all the time. That's what the little Southern girl in me woke up and said. Now, I said to her, don't worry about it. I'm used to it. I can handle the finances. And then she just kept nagging. She just kept nagging. And so we finally had these conversations. We went to the pre-marriage counseling that was done by his godmother, who was an interfaith minister. And she actually said to me, she said, I don't know if you guys are on the same page about a lot of things that you need to be on the same page about. And I said, oh, wow, right? And so then I ended up, one day just said, I don't think we can do this. And so we sent out the uninvitations, right? Like this, we are not doing this. Thank you so much. And it really boiled down to, Linda, that I loved this person, not the man of my dream, I love this person enough not to be mad at them every day, right? And I could see that. I could see that my engendering, my upbringing was really hitting a rub that was not going to change, and that I was going to have to ask him to change who he was, and that's not love. And we have to then, in the middle, decipher the difference between love and marriage, because one is a feeling and the other one is an institution, a construct, an agreement. And so we weren't going to be good at the agreements of marriage, but we loved each other very much, right? And so to even be able to say that and detangle those two things, to know that as we both evolved, we might not be the best thing for each other, right? Had to be like a messy middle kind of conversation. And to this day, like, love him to death. We're great friends. Our families are very close. I'll call his mother when I have to make a big decision right now, right? Like, it's the same love, but it just wasn't supposed to be in that kind of scenario or box that we were trying to put it in.
And we do try and put all of our relationships in a box pretty
Yeah.
darn quick. This is
Yeah.
a friend, this is a business contact,
Yeah.
this is a lover,
Yeah.
and maybe those quick judgments don't even have people. If we
Yeah.
should do that at all, maybe they're in the wrong box, right?
Right, because the quick judgments are based on like our animal brain of like, our amygdala. Like when we first enter a room, we're like, is this person going to kill me or am I going to kill them? Am I at the top of the food chain, bottom of the food chain? Like we're constantly doing that, right? Just as a way to find ourselves in the right zone of experience to see what we can offer and what we can exchange in those moments, right? So, yes, we do make these snap judgments about what the relationships are for, what the job is for, what the skill is for. And going back to the first question you asked me, right? This trajectory of these three careers, within the three careers are the threads of everything I've always been doing, right? And so if I had put them in these clear boxes early on, I would have never found the expansion of Christal as a connector, as a builder, as a person, as a visionary, right? And I would have been kind of stuck in a box as well.